Hi,
everybody.
Hello.
This is Nina here from Baby Chick.
And Courtney from Momma Strong.
We're excited to come together again for another live video and talk to all of you guys about something that is super important to both of us that we think isn't discussed enough.
So important. I'm so glad we're talking about it.
I know. Courtney, you go from here.
So we wanted to say first that we are not medical professionals. We are not specialized in mood disorders, obviously. So this is a casual conversation, and we need to make sure that we say the following. If you know somebody or you yourself are struggling with what seems like it might be postpartum depression, even if you're not sure, it is essential that you reach out and get professional help. This is not something to do on your own or to sit on Google or talk to friends.
Yeah.
Okay, so we do have a resource for you. It's postpartum.net. You can go there and check out all of their advice, but really one of the best things they offer is something called a warm line, which you can call 1-800-944-4773, and that's the Postpartum Support International line. So you can give them a call. But we're going to talk a little bit about how to get that help if you feel like you can't. So you're in good company right now if you need that jump start.
I know. I think a lot of people are really nervous to talk about this subject because they're afraid that they're going to get judged or afraid that they're the only ones feeling like this. And in the moment when you're experiencing it, I think a lot of moms feel like they're the only ones in the world that are experiencing these emotions, and they don't want to be judged by other people about what they're feeling, and it's actually quite common. So I'm really excited to talk about, well, my experience from it. I'm a postpartum doula. I've been helping families for the past 7 years after they have their babies and bring them home. So I've worked with a lot of moms who have struggled with postpartum depression, and so I'm going to talk about what postpartum depression looks like and things that you can do to help somebody if you notice that a friend or a family member is struggling during that time after baby.
And I myself struggled with postpartum depression, and so I'm going to be talking about what it feels like as the person suffering, and potentially things that you might be resisting in order to get help, and just the perspective from somebody who's in it.
And I so appreciate you just being so open and raw and real with your story and sharing with all of us. So thank you for being brave to, tell your story and help a lot of moms out there. Because I know that a lot of moms, like I said, they don't know where to go. They don't know who to talk to. They don't want to be judged. They don't want to be called a bad mom. They don't want their babies taken away from them, or, they're thinking the absolute worst. But to be able to hear someone's actual story and know that they're not alone, and what they can do for themselves as well to get better. So as a postpartum doula, that is something that we screen for. That's something that's really important. Is I think a lot of people think that a postpartum doula is going to come in and really just take care of baby. But really, it's taking care of the mom. Everyone else is worrying about, how's the baby doing? Oh, can I hold the baby? Can I feed the baby? Can I bring the baby diapers? Can I do this for the baby? It's baby, 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 baby. And a postpartum doula comes in and says, babies, we love babies, yes, but mom, how are you? And checking in on mom and making sure that she's doing well, making sure that she's eating enough food, drinking enough water, that she's bonding with her baby, that she's feeling confident with her feeding choices, whether she's breastfeeding or bottle feeding. Does she feel confident with baby wearing or whatever it is? And talking to her about that, and talking to her about her birth experience, because a birth experience can really kind of stem those emotions and feeling depressed if it didn't go exactly the way that you hoped or had planned for. So really talking about that, and it's a lot of listening. So things that if you think that you have a friend or a family member that we look for as postpartum doulas to really see if there's something wrong is postpartum depression. It's something that doesn't just last for a couple of days. Something that I always say to women is it's common for baby blues. Baby blues last up to usually the first 10 to 14 days after a baby's born.
And that's usually like a reaction to just the excitement and the
and your hormones also regulating after having to supply enough for two
right.
and having to level off and realize, okay, now it's just me. I'm trying to recover. My uterus is now contracting, getting lower. I'm now having to produce milk. It's your body's going through so much, and also lack of sleep. It's just so much change, and that's hard on the human body. So baby blues is common. It's 80% of women do experience baby blues after they have a baby. However, 1 out of 4 of those women will have postpartum depression.
1 out of 4.
1 out of 4 of the women who had baby blues will have postpartum depression.
Interesting.
And something that I think a lot of people don't know is that, it immediately happens after birth. Some people don't experience postpartum depression months later.
It's so true. That is so important to say.
Yes.
Yep.
They think, but I was fine, but now I'm just getting weepy and emotional and anxious and all of these things. And that can be postpartum depression as well. So it's if you're thinking, but it's been 6 months and now she's feeling these emotions, that can still be postpartum depression. So things to look for are excessive weepiness, if she's not enjoying things that she used to enjoy, if she's oversleeping or not sleeping enough, if she's overeating or not eating enough, not taking the time to eat, if she is isolating herself from friends and family, even when friends and family are reaching out to her saying like, hey, can I help and do this? If she just is pushing away, not wanting help, that's a clue. If she's refusing to bond with baby, maybe she doesn't want to feed the baby. Maybe she's just wanting to focus on the older kids and gives the baby to the dad. Here, help me with this. So not really wanting to bond with baby. Also, if she's maybe afraid of hurting herself or the baby, those are things that we kind of look for. So you can kind of tell that there's something different, especially if you know this person really well, that something is off. And that's when it's important to talk to that person or talk to their partner about that. But those are things that we look for. What do you feel in that moment though, Courtney?
I think what I'm going to say is really important, because I think a lot of people don't know this. When you're experiencing postpartum depression, a lot of times you don't know that you are, because you've just had a baby, right? And your whole goal is to kind of normalize this experience and survive. And so you don't even know that it's happening. It feels necessary. So any of your behaviors that you're acting out on actually feel like something you have to do. So for instance, somebody might notice that you're not eating that much. Well, you might be so far into the depression that you don't even know why you're not eating or why you're eating a lot.
Yeah, you claim, I'm so busy, I can't eat.
Or you just don't even know that it's happening, that there's become an abnormal pattern there. The other one is isolating from people. I remember, canceling on people all the time and flaking out, even on doctors, on appointments. I would make up excuses. I would lie to friends. A lot of things were happening that in my head I thought were necessary, but it wasn't an active choice. So I wasn't sitting there going, I feel really depressed, and so I'm going to behave this way. The behavior was very automatic. Looking back, I can see the pathology of that, but at the time, I genuinely thought I had to behave that way. And so I think that's the important piece, is you might be in it and you might not even know it. So it's a little tricky. The things I did feel and know weren't normal were so scary that I didn't want to talk about it, which was I personally had suicidal thoughts, which was really mostly about wanting relief. Like I really wanted a break. And I had a history of depression beforehand. I have clinical OCD. Those are all markers that now I know are kind of something we look at as probably a sign that you're going to have postpartum depression. You need to be aware. So all those things, especially when you're feeling suicidal, or maybe for some women they feel like harming the baby. That wasn't my particular form of it, but mine was very much about harming myself. The last thing you want to do is tell anybody.
Tell anybody that you feel that way, of course.
Because as much as people are saying to you, it's safe, you can talk to anybody, in your head you're going, how is that really true?
Yeah.
If I go to somebody and I say to them, I want to hurt myself, you can bet your booty that they're going to remove me from my baby.
Yeah.
So you're understanding that rationally speaking, you're going to be removed from your child, but they're telling you, don't worry, nothing will happen. So that's a little tricky. And the reality is
finding the right person to talk to.
That's right.
Absolutely.
The safety piece is so important, and that's where your community is important. That's where professionals are important. Just saying to them, I'm afraid to talk about this because I'm afraid that I am going to lose my child, or you're going to remove me from the child.
Or even just judgment.
Just judgment.
Yeah.
And just have them be honest with you. What you're looking for is people who are willing to tell you honestly and not just calm you down and say, here's exactly what's going to happen. Here's what's not going to happen. So then you can trust them. It's like anything. You want to be able to trust that what they're saying is real. And if you're depressed, you're already super paranoid. And so you need to be able to listen to somebody and trust them. As far as the, other symptoms go, I definitely wasn't getting enough sleep. I got a little obsessive about food. And I also got really, really anxious about the baby sleeping or resting. And that's a really good sign. If you're feeling really anxious about leaving the house or about when baby is sleeping or not sleeping, that's a sign that you're probably a little bit close to that depressive period, because you're trying to control everything, you're trying to keep everything in its box, and if one little thing goes out of place, it's going to really trigger you. So that's an important marker for me, like, okay, I'm really obsessing about baby's sleep, I'm feeling frantic about it beyond the normal. That's a sign as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Because again, I think a lot of women aren't sure what it is. They're like, but everyone's anxious about baby sleeping. There's SIDS. There's all these things that can happen. Mm-hmm. Shouldn't I be feeling anxious and worried and wanting to protect my child? But knowing that, there are other things as well, and to talk to someone that you feel is a safe person to talk to, so then that way you can get that help is really important.
And I was desperate to have the baby sleep. Like, I remember getting super controlling.
I think every mom is.
Every mom is, right? But I remember, like, really trying, beyond a rational sort of worry, it became very much like desperation. That's the word. Like, a lot of desperation around that came up for me, for sure.
Yeah. Something that I do want to say is we love hearing from you guys. We know that this is a really controversial and difficult topic, so we understand why some people are not wanting to contribute maybe their stories or any tips, and we respect that. But if there are any nuggets of wisdom or anything that really helped you or helped a friend, we would love for you to like these videos, to share with a friend, and also to share anything that may have helped you if you struggled with this in the past. So I definitely wanted to say that we respect that a lot of people prefer their privacy, but if there is anything that you could comment and share, we're all about wanting to support women during this very fragile and delicate time, and let them know that there is support out there and that you are a good mom and it's going to be okay if you seek treatment. So that's something that I really wanted to definitely say.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying like what people can, look for within themselves. Something that if you are the outsider looking in, you are probably wondering, but how can I help? She's refusing to answer my stuff. She's flaking out on me. Mm-hmm. She's lying to me about this, that, and the other. How am I able to help? Because as a postpartum doula, people would do the same things. Oh, well, I just need to cancel. Can you come back another day? And I'd be like, no, I really think we should come today. Especially, not the first time, obviously things come up and I don't immediately think that it's something more than it is. But if it's a continuous pattern that I'm recognizing that we're getting canceled on quite frequently, I say, no, we really need to see you and the baby within a certain amount of time to check in and see how you guys are doing, because we're here to help. And usually women feel a lot safer at that point. But if you're just a friend, a family member, and you're wanting to help, there are some things that you can do to help someone who you think may be suffering from postpartum depression. So the first thing is, if they allow you to sit down in their home and they didn't blow you off, the big thing is really listening. That's the hugest part. I think that a lot of people they just want to talk about this and how's this, and it's surface level stuff. But asking bigger questions, asking open-ended questions that will really allow mom to hopefully open up to you. Because something that I have noticed with some women after a couple of sessions of me coming in, eventually they feel safe enough to say, oh my gosh, Nina, I feel like the worst mom, but I feel like I don't love my baby. And I just am not bonding with this baby, and like I just don't love her. I don't love her. And I say, oh my goodness, of course you do. Yes, you do. And for you to say that, you are not the only mom who is going through this and who has said that before. And it may feel like you don't love them, but you're not a bad mom. You're talking about this. This is really good. And let's talk about why you feel like this and what we can do to make this better. So allowing her to really tell her story and eventually feel safe enough to tell you how she really feels is really important. So listening. Also insisting on helping, but not being pushy.
You might have to be.
I know. Because obviously you don't want to be pushy to the point where she's just like, oh my gosh, this person won't leave me alone. But if there are people who just refuse on you helping, so insist on helping. But when I say help, I mean actual help. So go run errands for her, bring her groceries, bring her food, watch her baby while she gets some sleep, do the dishes, start some baby laundry, do things that a postpartum doula would do without even having her. She won't ask for help because she then thinks, oh, I'm a bad mom asking for help. All moms should be able to do this themselves. And that's not true. So insist on helping and saying, hey, I'm coming over next week. You're picking a day and I'm going to bring you groceries and we're going to get lunch together, and I'm going to hold the baby, and you get to breathe and relax, and if you need any help, I'm there. And even if she just wants you in and out, just dropping off food, that is a huge help. So insisting on helping, but not being pushy. Is there something going on that
we have a question from Alyssa, and she wants to know, how long can postpartum depression last?
I'm just now actually getting out of postpartum depression. It's been 5 years. My oldest is 11. So the tentacles of postpartum depression can last for the lifetime of a mother. Again, usually there's a tendency beforehand. So it's hard to say. With treatment, they say that obviously it can be so much shorter and managed much more quickly. But if it's unaddressed, it can really last a long time. And you don't even know. You all of a sudden wake up and you're like, oh, that's been going on for years.
And a lot of people have said, oh, I thought I was getting better, but then I realized later, oh no, I'm still having symptoms of my postpartum depression. So it is something that you need to continue, talking to someone and seeking treatment. Mm-hmm. So thank you, Lisa, for asking that question. It can last years, but I do want to give women hope out there that it doesn't have to be. No. If you do talk to somebody, sometimes you do need to have medication, and that's normal. And that's something that I want to tell moms, that you have to be able to take care of yourself first before you can take care of that baby. You can't pour from an empty cup, okay? So when you're pouring from an empty cup, it's just, you're not able to give yourself to your spouse, to your baby, to yourself. You have to be able to do things for yourself to be able to give back to others.
Yep.
So thank you for that question, Lisa. Another thing that you can do when helping somebody is offering to go on a walk with them. Physical activity is extremely helpful. That's why even if they're at home, they can go on mommastrong.com and be able to do 15 minutes, because those endorphins, y'all, are legit and real. And just getting to do some physical activity, even if you don't want to, but offering them, hey, I'll do this with you. Do you want to go on a walk with me? Do you want to do this? Getting them out to get some fresh air, things like that. Physical activity is really important, so that can definitely help. Also saying that it's okay. Allowing them, don't argue with them on what they're feeling. If they're like, I'm a bad mom and da 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 da. I know I said earlier, like, no, you're not, da da da. But say, why do you feel this way? you're such a wonderful mother. Why do you feel this way? I hear you. I hear you. I respect you. How can we make this better? Because we need to change these thoughts, because you're anything but, I think, in my opinion. So being able to hear her, but saying that it's okay, so she does feel that she has a safe place. Do we have another question?
Yeah, we have a couple of questions.
Awesome.
So Megan wants to know, she says, I have a 2-week-old at home right now. At what point is it no longer considered baby blues and it's postpartum depression? Does that have to do with timing or different symptoms? So how do you differentiate between the two?
That's a great question.
I think if you're at all concerned, it would warrant professional opinion, especially if you're having the clarity to ask. This means that you're in a really good position to just kind of weigh it out before it would take a turn. So if you're feeling that and you want to know, ask the safe source, the professional, not Google. Ask the safe source. If you have the clarity to ask that, that is a beautiful moment to really triage it right then.
Right. Thank you so much for that, Courtney. Absolutely. And the technical answer for that is baby blues should be ending at around day 10 and 14. However, every woman is different. Every body is different. It could maybe be a little bit longer for someone else than it is for others. But baby blues, the difference of it is just a little bit of weepiness. It's sadness, but you are still enjoying time with baby. You are still enjoying the things that you were previously interested in. It's a much more severe type of sadness. You're feeling overwhelmed, anxious, sad, hopeless. Those are the feelings that you feel when it comes to postpartum depression. And baby blues is really just weepiness and more of a hormonal imbalance.
Kind of like super PMS, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Thank you for that question. Yeah, great questions.
So Shelby wants to know, when is the latest that it can set in? I'm 5 months postpartum and no signs of it. When will I be in the clear?
When will you be in the clear? That's a good question. Actually, I don't want to say that this is like the legit real answer, but I usually tell women after the first year, you can feel good that it's not going to happen. However, as I stated previously, everyone is different. Things can trigger other things, and toddlerhood can bring on a whole other different type of depression. So not to laugh at that, but we have to laugh or else we'd cry. You know what I'm saying? But usually I tell at least my clients after a year, that's when you can feel like you are in the clear and everything is healthy and safe. Usually 6 months to a year, but definitely a year. But again, talk to your care provider. Seek support groups, seek help if you are feeling like there might be something a little bit off.
So Alyssa wants to know, who would be ideal to seek treatment from for postpartum depression?
Goodness. Yeah, sorry guys if we hear some screaming in the back. There's some kids playing outside, so it's getting a little loud. I know. It's live. That's what happens.
I can't help watching because they have an epic fight going on.
I know.
I think the little one is winning.
I know. I think the little one is winning. Okay, so and of course, baby brain, pregnancy brain.
Okay, so
who can you seek help
who would be the ideal person to seek treatment for?
Well, this kind of leads into what I was going to say about being someone who suffers and what to do for help if you are suffering from it. And that is to there's plenty of resources. Obviously, postpartum.net is a great one. But ask around and get referrals to really good therapists. And I would suggest doing that while you're pregnant or just having recently given birth. But it's going to come from resources around you, from good referrals, from your OB. A lot of times they'll have good referrals as well. Those are safe sources. Somebody needs to specialize in postpartum depression, though. That is really important. You need to say, is this your specialty? And I would say, hands down, if that is not listed in their specialty, you need to move on and find somebody who is.
Absolutely. And just like Courtney mentioned, I also have a history of depression in my past. So preparing for this baby, I already know that I am much more likely to experience postpartum depression after this baby. And just like you said, I have made sure that I know all of the resources that are available to me. And here in Houston, if you're in the Houston, Texas area, I highly recommend the Center of Postpartum Family Health. CPFH, Sherry's group is phenomenal, and she has a wonderful new mom checklist. I think it's called the
Well Mom Checklist.
The Well Mom Checklist. Thank you so much. So we actually did, I think, a video on that earlier, so we can link to that as well, so you have that resource, because those are things to be checking off each day and saying, am I feeling these things? And if I'm not checking off every single one of them, there might be something a little off. So definitely seeking the resources that are within your area. But I think postpartum.net is a great resource to at least maybe have them help you find someone within your area if you do want to sit down and talk to somebody as well.
Thank you. So Maggie wants to know, how can I best support a friend who was told she's likely to develop postpartum depression? Her baby is less than a week old and hasn't experienced any symptoms yet to my knowledge.
Okay. Well, hopefully she doesn't have any symptoms. What would you have wanted?
So I think have a conversation with her right now. And what I was actually going to say too is somebody who suffers from depression, while you're pregnant, you want to set up what I call red flag people. And you categorize those, one with personal friends. You set up red flag people. You have maybe 2 or 3, and then professionals as well. So you set that up. So right now is a perfect time to talk to her and say, hey, I want to be your person, that if I see any red flags, I have permission to wave them. Or if you're experiencing any red flags, you can wave them to me, and we will go through the following situation. So one of the best things to do is to create a worst case scenario survival guide. And this sounds backwards because with somebody who's worried and anxious, we want to calm them down. But really, anybody who's really in this, they want to plan and they want to know what's going to happen and they want the truth. So worst case scenario plans are incredible. So you sit down with her and you say, if the worst case scenario happens, what are we going to do? How are we going to manage the very worst thing that might happen? And what feels good to you? And that way you have a plan outlined. You can write it down. I'd highly recommend it with her. And red flag things, say, if this is happening, I'm going to check in with you and I'm going to do this and I'm not going to ask for permission. And she has to sign it at the bottom, make a contract, agree to it, because if she's really in it, she's going to find any way around it. So creating that contract, printing it out, laminate it, because, you know, spit up breast milk, poopy, all of it. Laminate it, have it nearby, have her share it with somebody else, maybe her partner if he or she is supportive in order to do that. But definitely start to create that plan now, and also include, you know, a professional route that you might go if that is warranted. So you want to cover all the bases, worst case scenario, and she will feel so much better, and then you'll be able to help her.
For sure, yeah.
That is, for me, something I wish I had done. I wish I had Nina, because I would have definitely set this up and said, you know, I'm probably going to be experiencing these things. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I want to plan for it. And I want to trust that this is the way it's going to go down. And if it's on the paper like this, you have to agree you're going to go this way. And I agree, I'll do that too. I might be resistant, you might be overly worried, but we have it on paper. This is the plan.
I love that.
Maggie says, thank you so much. That's amazing advice.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that is amazing advice. And what it made me think of is just like a lot of women are making birth plans, preparing for their birth, I really think that more and more women need to do a postpartum plan. Just like what you said, and really coming up with your plan of what life is going to look like after you have baby, and what are the choices that you want? Just like in your birth plan, you're making choices of, I prefer this. If things went well, I prefer this and this and this. Your postpartum plan, if things go like this, I would choose these options instead of this, and this is how I need help from you, if you can help me. I think that it's such a great idea.
I think at every baby shower, that should be one of the things that's offered to the mom, because, you know, if you're somebody who suffers from postpartum depression, 1, you might not know, like we talked about. 2, you might be in such a haze that you can't see through it, that you're not going to be rational about what to do. So the preparation is really important. For that, and that red flagging feels so good, you know, just I think it's essential. I do think the planning would have saved everything for me.
Yeah, feeling more prepared on how to handle this and saying, okay, we talked about the possibility of these things happening, but this is now what I can do to implement change and get better, and then hopefully not having to continue to experience this. And like I think Alyssa was asking, how long can this last? Really shortening that time and feeling more like yourself, and being able to bond with baby and the whole family. I love that.
I think it's also important to say that what a woman experiencing postpartum depression might not do, like we said, is reach out and call this line. So if you are suffering And we've offered you these resources, and you feel, I mean, I know for me, even though I have all this information here and I have this phone number and I have the website, the last thing I'm going to do is call a number. And that's very hard because as clinicians, you know, people are being offered so much good information, but women who are really suffering aren't using it. And that's the catch-22 that I think is so important. So if you are in that position and you are feeling like, okay, there are all these resources, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just pick up the phone? That's the most normal part of postpartum depression that you're experiencing. And so at that point, it's gonna take some courage. If you're really in it and you're not willing to pick up the phone or, you know, answer the phone, it's gonna take some courage to make that first step. And just, I think hearing that is so important. I wish I had known it, because I thought something was wrong with me. I thought I was a new breed of postpartum depression, like so far gone.
Every woman thinks that, though. They think that I'm the only one who must feel this way. I'm the worst mother in the world. And I say, oh, hun, no, you are not alone. But we need you to get better, because a healthy mom is a healthy baby. So can you say that phone number to all the people viewing again?
It's the Postpartum Support International. It's 1-800-944-4773.
Perfect.
Yes, and nobody will come and knock
Take
down
your
your door.
Yeah.
This is an entry point, and I think that's important. Everything that we're talking about, you are in control at the end of the day. And I know it doesn't feel like it, but these are all, once you break that seal, it's kind of like with anything, right? You have to just jump off. And once you do, you'll be so happy that you did. But standing on the other side is just pure torture for you, and you don't deserve that. You don't need to live on the other side of help. Once you get there, you're going to be in such relief, like, I should have done this sooner. You know, it's not as dangerous as I thought, and they really are doing everything that I need.
And I'm feeling better.
And I'm feeling better, and it is possible to feel better quickly.
So what are some other things that, if a woman is feeling those emotions of maybe I am suffering postpartum depression, what are things that they can do to help themselves?
It's going to sound backwards because we want to help moms set up a routine, but I'm going to actually tell you to break the routine. If you're experiencing postpartum depression, your level of anxiety and control might be so high that it's actually becoming a container that is closing in on you. So I would recommend, no matter what baby is going through or what's happening in your day, you put the baby in the stroller, you wear the baby, whatever you can do, even if you're just holding baby, and get outside of the house. I don't care if you make it to your front porch. Open the door. Open
fresh air.
the blinds.
Yes.
Fresh air will immediately start to shift your perspective. And it sounds like a small thing, but it changes everything. The other one that literally saved my life, and I'm not exaggerating, is exercise. To this day, it is the #1 healer for me. It doesn't have to be anything specific, and it doesn't have to be anything that's really fitnessy or mom approved. You just need to move. Obviously, MommaStrong.com has incredible resources for that, but sometimes that's hard to enter into too. Sometimes you just need to turn on music and dance, you know?
Exactly.
Or maybe you love doing Tai Bo, or maybe Richard Simmons is like totally your jam, you know?
Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda, you know, that kind of thing, which leads to the other and last piece is you need to find a way to laugh and not take things so seriously. So get off your phone, get off the computer, get off all those things, because what they're doing is they're stealing dopamine. They're stealing all the things that are going to help you feel better. Every time your brain senses new information or the opportunity for new information, you get a hit of dopamine. So there's a reason why moms are on their phones so much, because your brain is like, I need more feel-good hormones. You're constantly picking up and checking it. My daughter can attest to it. When I'm really stressed, I'm constantly checking.
And she rolls her eyes. Oh my goodness, Mom.
And that is my brain. That's because I have mental illness. That's because of all this. My brain wants that dopamine. So what happens is, though, it starts to steal that from you and then makes you dependent on the phone. You want to get dopamine from your environment, from laughter, from other people. So you're going to have to force yourself to get it from those sources. So
even though you're not wanting to be around other people in that time, forcing yourself into those situations.
I mean, when I work with women in the jail, in Harris County Jail, I actually have a day where they just tell jokes, and they tell the worst jokes, the most terrible
I have to say, let's just first say, Courtney volunteers and helps women after they have babies in our jail system, because they obviously don't have the resources or the accessibility to really seek help. So she is a wonderful person to be able to offer women who aren't able to help themselves in that time. So I had to say that. If you're like, what, in the jail? Is she in jail? Obviously not. But yeah, so, and because yes, every woman deserves that safe haven.
They do.
The feeling what's normal, what's okay, and knowing what their resources are and talking about it. And
they do not get that help at all.
Exactly. So, yeah. And I feel like, just like sometimes, you know, well, those women are feeling, I feel like sometimes women who are just locked in their homes feel like they're in their own jail cell.
It's the same experience.
Exactly.
Women are experiencing the same things no matter their environment. So
yes.
But the laughter day is the best, and what happens is it just picks up their mood, and at that point we're dealing with brain chemicals, right? We're not dealing with emotions. We're not dealing with more of the psychological rabbit hole. You're just dealing with the animal in you. Yeah. And every time you laugh, you're getting a hit of, you know, dopamine. You're getting a hit of all those feel-good things. So I don't care if you're telling your kid jokes, or you're calling up a friend, if you can pick up the phone, or even tell yourself some jokes. I mean, stupid kid jokes always work.
Yeah.
The worst ones in the book. I don't care what they are, you know, or if there's a comedian that you really like.
I was going to say, go on YouTube, watch some of those funny comedians. That would crack me up.
And these are all entry points to begin to allow you to make bigger moves. So these aren't the big moves. These aren't the things that are going to solve it, but these are the entry points. These open the door so then your brain has a moment to think rationally.
Yeah, and take that next step.
The other last piece I think would have to do with your partner. And this gets a little tricky because in my case in particular, that wasn't necessarily a safe place to go. So if it is a safe place for you to go with your partner, it's important that you deal with it before, obviously, you have a baby. But if you haven't, go to them right away. And be brave in that step. You don't need to be super mom. You know, go to them right away and say, we have to deal with this together. Don't make any moves yet. Here, what are we going to do? Work it out. If it's not a safe source for you for whatever reason, then you need to find another sort of partner in that realm.
Whether it's your mom, whether it's your care provider, whether it's a dear friend that you've known forever and that you just feel safe with, I definitely agree.
Yep.
And again, if you have had depression in the past or anything like that, to talk about that during your pregnancy, plan that postpartum plan that Courtney was talking about, and being that much more prepared just in case, you know, if something does happen and you're not feeling like your best self, you know what to do, and they know what to do. Yep. They know how to help you.
They do. And if anyone expresses concern that's around you, like I had a friend who got really upset with me, and she was she got really offended. And of course at the time I was like, nah, you're not a very good friend. But looking back, she was really hurt. And now I wish at that moment I had gone, whoa, that she cares, she's getting hurt, she's expressed many times, are you okay? I didn't allow her to I didn't allow that hook to sink in. So if somebody you trust is really expressing frustration, let that hook sink in and grab on and see what happens, because usually it's very helpful. If somebody's that invested and feeling that frustrated, that's a red flag. Grab onto it and kind of go with it and see what happens.
Yes. And if you, again, are with someone that you think does have postpartum depression, you may think, well, what do I do? Do I call somebody? How do I handle this situation? The best thing to do is talk to that person, and to talk to their partner if that partner is a safe person. Or when you're talking to that person, say, who else can we talk to help you feel better? Because it's all about making you feel better. It's not about making you feel there's something wrong with you or anything like that. It's just making you feel better as a new mom. So anyway, guys, I loved this video. This was really fun, even though it's such a heavy topic. But I hope you all enjoyed it. And again, we totally respect all of you that didn't want to comment or share or any kind of tips or anything like that. We get that. But again, if you do have any nuggets of information, we would love for you to comment, ask questions. Courtney and I will be checking our videos later. Courtney, please give your website and information.
It's mommastrong.com.
And I'm with Baby Chick, so it's baby-chick.com. So you can get some awesome workouts and just feel good motivation from her, as well as information about pregnancy, birth, and motherhood at Baby Chick.
Yes.
So, anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
And we hope to see you next time.
Bye.
All right, bye.